Welcome or welcome back for those who don't know me. My name is Money and this is Conversations in the Chair, a space where I share different topics about things I'm going through, gone through and grown through. A digital journal, so to speak, all in the hopes to encourage and inspire you. Today on Conversations in the Chair, I'm talking about, is it healing or giving up? Understanding rest after survival mode. I thought about the last few months. I've been thinking about reviewing Q1 of 2025, particularly as my word for the year is thrive. And I wasn't a difficult conclusion to come to, but I came to the conclusion that I have not been thriving for the first quarter of this year. And I wanted to look back on the first quarter of this year and understand why, in fact, it has been the complete opposite of thrive. It has actually been survive or survival mode. Let me set the picture for you. This period of survival mode started late December, and it hit a all-time high in mid-Jan, and my fight mode was fully engaged, locked, loaded and ready to go, and it stayed that way consistently. I stopped sleeping. I mean, I don't have a great sleep pattern anyway, but I certainly stopped sleeping. I stopped eating and, of course, lost weight. Emotionally, I felt like a volcano ready to erupt at any second. You didn't really need to scratch the surface. Anger fueled me. Never mind coffee or wine. Anger fueled me. Rage, actually. Rage is the better word. And my rage was immeasurable. So much so that there were days that when I had to go into the office for work or go out on errands or that kind of, day-to-day stuff. If somebody bumped into me on public transport, they got the sharp side of my tongue. I was ready to take their head off. I wasn't having it. I mean, I don't have it most days, but I was really not having it. And they knew about it. I was just in this heightened state of stress. And yeah, I know that there is fight, flight, freeze, or is it fawn? Is it fawn? I don't want to say the wrong thing. Let me quickly double check. Fight. Let me see. Let's see what the old Google machine says. It says, right. Oh, it is fawn. There you go. Fight, flight, freeze, and fawn are trauma responses or instinctive reactions to a perceived threat that help individuals survive dangerous situations. These responses are part of the body's natural stress response, also known as fight or flight response, and can be triggered by various stresses. Well, yeah. Fight involves a direct confrontation with the threat such as verbally arguing, physically pushing back. Flight, for those of us who don't know what these terms mean, I'm just going to do a quick overview. Flight. This is the act of escaping the threat or the situation, often running and hiding. Freeze. This involves becoming immobile, still, silent, often in a state of disassociation or numbness. Fawn. This involves trying to appease the threat or gain favour with the source of danger, often through people pleasing and seeking approval. Right. So, out of the four, I naturally am number one. Fight mode. Fight mode. Everything, everyone, all the time, any day, come at me, bro. I'm a gladiator. I'll have you. And even when there aren't like major things going on, my natural setting is fight. It may be low grade, but it's still fight. It's always there. So, you know, lives, as we all know, but in different degrees. And that's what kind of kicked all this off. It was late December. An issue arose that I had to take care of very quickly, which, as an isolated incident, it was annoying, as these things often are, and I naturally sort of got on with it. But it was the gateway. It was a gateway. And then January rolled around and it peaked. Lifed. And if my fight mode in terms of weaponry, if my fight mode was boxing gloves, for instance, January, I came for battle. I came with the Excalibur. I came with the swords. I came on a fire-breathing dragon. I came with bombs. I came with rocket launchers. I came to fight. I nearly swore. Wow. I came, my fight level went up all the way. Fully engaged, cranked it up. Both barrels, all engines. I came. And I was in that state for the best part of 3 months. The best part, no lie, no exaggeration, not being hyperbolic. I was in that engaged state of stress and fight for weeks. I would have easily, with my bare hands, torn people apart. If it wasn't for the grace of God, seriously, I would have torn people limb from limb. Now, a couple of weeks ago, like literally in the last couple of weeks, I suddenly noticed that I started sleeping. It was gradual, like ever so gradual. Like I said, I don't have the best sleeping pattern anyway. So me sleeping or not sleeping is neither here or there to me now because I'm so used to it. But I started sleeping for slightly longer periods and sort of deeper, restful periods. And I was like, okay. Did I feel like I had been running on fumes? Yeah, I had been running on fumes. And I think I even said that. I expressed that to those around me that I feel like I've been running on fumes. I was irritable, the sleeplessness, the lack of appetite, the tension that I was carrying in my body was unreal. And I will get to that also. Um, but let's reflect. let's let's focus on reflection, not really answers, because I don't know if I have all the answers to all the questions that's in my head. But let's just reflect. Is it healing or is it giving up? Understanding rest after survival mode. Now, like I said, I've been feeling like a volcano, or had been feeling like a volcano, ready to erupt at any point, and then suddenly started to sleep. This is survival mode. And for many of us, it becomes a way of life. And when I started sleeping again, it felt so strange. To so much so that I questioned it. I was like, hold on, what do you mean? What's happened? The situation that happened at the start of the year hasn't gone away. Has there been some outcomes? Yes. Are they the desired outcomes? No. So that in itself remains. But I wanted to know, I wanted the answer to the question, how come I've suddenly started sleeping again? Question number one, for anyone taking notes on how many questions that will come up in this. I fought it. I fought the feeling of rest and sleep. I was like, no, this is not right. I shouldn't be sleeping. Not sleeping and being in this engaged fight mode became so normal to me that when my body was like, bruv, this is not sustainable. So we are going to override your fight and put you into rest mode. I really wanted some answers. I was like, who can I go to? What happened? Who can show me on a graph? Who can show me a date in the diary that something happened that made my body and my mind say it was now okay for me to sleep? Like, whose watch is this? Because it's meant to be my watch. Why am I sleeping? Yeah. But even though it isn't what didn't change, i.e. the situation, it was, there might have been some sort of shift internally. And it was probably me just hitting a threshold. Research and all these psychologists say that it's subtle signs of safety and exhaustion. It was probably the latter for me. But starting to rest felt like giving up when there is still this fight. But when you've been in fight mode for too long, your body kind of goes, okay, we're going to take over now. And that, as I've come to learn, and I bet I'm going to say this wrong, and I'm trying not to say this wrong incorrectly. It is called the parasympathetic nervous system. And that's what puts you into rest and digest. I had to refer to my notes because I knew I wouldn't be able to bring that word just out of the top of my head. I noticed something else physically. Maybe the previous weekend, after a decent night's sleep, I noticed that my shoulders had dropped because I kept trying to like put my shoulders back up. Like, it felt like I was slouching, which is something I'm always telling my youngest daughter not to do because posture is important. So where my shoulders had dropped, I felt like I was slouching. I kept trying to like put my shoulders up and it wasn't happening. And then my my bra straps were hurting my shoulders. My shoulders had dropped. No, let's rephrase that. The tension in my body had started to subside, that my shoulders then dropped. So much so that the mere act of having my bra straps on my shoulders was painful. My shoulders was like, nope, don't want them. Take them off. Take them off. Get them off me, quick. And I was like, fidgeting for the best part of the morning in meetings. I'm like, why is this bra so uncomfortable? No, babes, it's not the bra. It's the fact that your shoulders have dropped and your body is in pain and you're tired and your body's trying to release all this tension. I had to, well, obviously after the meetings, I had to take off my bra straps and wear my bra strapless, because my shoulders were like, do you want to see if you can wear this bra like this all day? Bet. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to lose. So I had to adjust my bra and not have the straps on because it just wasn't happening. And this weekend, just gone, let's see, Sunday morning, I woke up feeling as if I had been hit by an 18-wheeler truck. I felt as if a brick wall had collapsed on me. Let's see what else. I felt like I had gone a good few rounds in the ring with Anthony Joshua or Lennox Lewis or Muhammad Ali. Like, I'd give it a go. If I was in a ring with one of those, I'd give it a go. And I felt like I had gone a couple of rounds with these guys and lost badly. My body was in pain. Pain. Like, you think of the worst flu you've ever had and how your body has those aches and pains. Times that by 10. That is how I felt. But I had no flu symptoms. Thank God, touch wood, knock on my forehead. I'm not a sicky kind of person. But, I've had like a bad cold now and again and feel like shit. But I felt physical pain in my body. And my body was like, oh, you think you're going to do something today? Okay, bet. And I was like, oh, I'm going to lose. I'm going to have to sit my ass down. All day. Couldn't do a single thing. So much so, I was too tired to eat, even though my appetite has returned. I was so tired, I couldn't eat. So if we look at the last 10 days, 2 weeks, my body has been going through I don't know, is it safe to say a reset? Like, what's actually been happening? I got really curious and wanted to know what is actually happening here, because the first sign was I started sleeping, and then mentally and emotionally I'm like, it feels like I'm giving up, because my natural setting is fight, problem solve. I'm not one to panic. That's really not part of my genetic makeup. I'm not a panicker. I think because I'm naturally a problem solver, that's where I focus my energy and attention. I don't do well with people who panic around me. You will just get on my nerves. I said what I said. What was happening? my needle, my internal needle, had gone from 0 to 100 in a short space of time at the beginning of the year and stayed at 100 for weeks and weeks. And like anything, like any kind of, I don't know, engine, that kind of speed for a prolonged period of time is not sustainable. Like, you've got certain high performance vehicles that can go from like 0 to 60 in like seconds, and some cars have fifth gear. I don't know if they have sixth gear. I know some cars have five gears. So if you have an open stretch of road, you can easily do 100, 120, 130. You're going to get a ticket, but that's something else. That's another topic of conversation. But you know what I mean? You can really like let that engine open up and roar. But you can't do it for a long period of time. That's basically my body, my system. It was at full throttle for an extended period of time. And it was like, okay, no more. Something to add while I think about it is I've come to realize that I'm able to function very well in that state, in that highly stressful state. I'm very high functioning. It's almost that I, ironically, using this word, thrive in those kind of environments. I see it as I'm able to be super productive. I can get loads done. I feel unstoppable. Things are happening, things are moving. I'm juggling 10 balls at the same time. Y'all can't stop me now, kind of thing. Let some of those things get put to bed, and I go from 10 balls to 3, and it's a normal working day. I'm a little bit lost. I feel like I'm not functioning, I'm not producing or as productive as I want to be, which is a lie, because even if it's just the 3 things I have to do, best believe I'm going to deliver, maybe even over deliver on the brief of those 3 things. But there's part of me that I'm like, why isn't there more? Why isn't there? I want to do more. And I physically feel like I can't, I'm not doing enough, or I can't do enough. And why isn't there more going on for me to kind of kick into this higher gear? I know that is not healthy. I have come to understand that. I'm just being really honest in this conversation, which is what this is about my natural factory setting. So where are we? So I started sleeping, appetite slowly came back, shoulders have dropped, couldn't wear my bra. The bra straps became too much, and then I started feeling really curious about what's going on. Like, what's happened? Why am I not raging? Why am I sleeping? Like, every morning my girls be like, morning mum, you get some sleep? And I'm saying, yes, I slept. And they are actually shocked, as am I. Um, and my curiosity just led me down this meandering path to wanting to understand survival mode, um, and what it really means, and why rest feels like a luxury. Can't believe I'm saying this. But yeah, to me, being in rest mode feels like a luxury. It's like a luxury item, and the price ticket is way too high. Because let's be real, how many times have we heard the following? Nobody's coming to save you, so you need to get up, figure things out, and get your shit together. So if you're hearing that narrative, you haven't got time to be resting. Make hay while sun shines. Plant plant the seeds, because if you watch for the right season, you'll never plant. What's the other one? Um, can't remember the other one now. But you get my drift. So rest feels like a luxury, one that I cannot afford. I I don't know what it's like to have a problem or issue arise and I hand it over to somebody to take care of. Now, let me get this straight and let me make this point really clear. I am not a control freak. I am very good at delegating. Having said that, when things crop up in your life and you can go to other individuals around you who will take care of business, that it's handled. See, people know that, whether it's my children, whether it's my staff, my colleagues, friends, they know they can come to me and be like, oh, money, this has come up, I need this handled, do you know how we can sort this, etc., etc. They know if it comes to me, if they bring it to me, it will get sorted. I will deliver. It's handled. My girls joke and call me Olivia because it's handled. But at the same time, I don't know what it's like to hand something over to someone else and rest in that assurance or assurity. What's the correct word here? That they will handle it. And that is an area of my life that I have always constantly struggled with. And part of my sort of curious moments in the last couple of weeks, one question that kind of, popped up in my head was, what's, survival mode all about? Because obviously we understand the words, but what's it really about? So my curiosity took me there to look into that. But then also, I started wondering what God thought about us, or me. I can only speak for myself. But generally speaking, I was curious to know if God had an opinion about us being in survival mode. Of course, he's got an opinion about us being in the survival mode. That it was such a stupid question, man. But anyway, point still stands. And the other thing I was really curious about was why I was so resistant to my body and the parasympathetic side kicking in, because my system clearly overrode itself. If my natural setting is fight, low grade fight, lifed, and I went from, I don't know, say my natural speed is 60, that's fight. I went from 60 to 100, and then it couldn't stay there long term. And I was ready for it to stay there long term. My body was like, no, we're going to have to override. So the imagine like a pedometer, it just clicked over the other way because it couldn't come. I wouldn't let it come down, so it clicked over the other way and went into rest and digest. And I was so it was a good like 3 days. I kept fighting it, like, why am I sleeping? Where's this suddenly come from? The situation hasn't changed. Why am I resting? Like, I fought it, and I was so curious about that. Still am, but research, reading, understanding has shown me that it's not sustainable. It's also not normal. So yeah, here we are. I feel that rest is a luxury that it has too much of a high price ticket. My youngest daughter does not agree with me. Strongly so, does not agree with me. She often tells me off and says that rest is not a reward, but a human requirement. And she's right. It's not a reward, and I do personally treat it as such. You know, if I can get, I don't know, 7, 10 things done in the day, including a full day's work, 2 loads of laundry, grocery, dinner, a bit of DIY, do someone's hair, then I'm like, yeah, I will sit down when that's all done. And my daughter's like, you shouldn't do that. Rest is not a reward. It's a requirement. I could hear her now. But God does have an opinion on us being in survival mode. And what's interesting to me, certainly, is, and it comes part of this whole period of curiosity for me, is how long have I been in survival mode? Like, I had to stop and check it because it's been normalized, hasn't it? Survival mode for many of us becomes a way of life. So if we aren't juggling 10 things, 15, 30 things all at the same time, it's almost like, well, what do we do with ourselves? And I know that this is something I often say. I don't know how many times I've said this on this podcast, but I was in the shower and I know the other day, and I was lathering up and pondering to myself, probably out loud. And I remember asking the question, when did my survival mode start? And I asked the question with such childlike innocence. There was no preconceived idea of what the answer would be. There was no pomp or frill or ulterior motive. It was just such an innocent question while I was showering. And I kid you not, Because remember, one of the things I've been curious about is, does God have an opinion on us being in survival mode? Like, what's his opinion on this? What's he got to say about it? And I kid you not, question asked, question answered. My question, I wonder when my survival mode started. Bearing in mind, like I said at the top of this episode, there was a stressful situation mid-December. Okay, so one would think, okay, this survival mode period started then. Haha, you'd be wrong. The answer, clear as day, came back. Are you ready? The answer was when you were 14. I was like, what? When I was 14? When I was 14? When I tell you, I stood in the shower, it felt like I was there, dumbstruck for, I don't know, 10 minutes. It wasn't 10 minutes, but it felt like a really long time. I stood there with my mouth open, a gasp, like, 14! 14! My survival mode started when I was 14. That's my whole life up until this point. And like I said, I asked the question so innocently, without any kind of idea of the answer. I was so shocked, to the point where I really had to think back, like, what the hell happened when I was 14? And still, I was like, huh? What happened when I was 14? And then I thought, oh, that's when I got my first job. I got my first job when I was 14 years old. I was a checkout girl and shelf stacker at a local supermarket in the area where I used to live. So that was the when. The why, I was like, okay, so why did I go looking for a job at 14? And I think in my 14-year-old brain, I thought to myself, well, I want, some trendy name brand trainers. I want money to go to the cinema. I want to have a sense of independence, somewhat, because you're 14. So on the surface, the why is answered. I know that there's a deeper answer to that. I know there is a deeper why, but surface level, that's the why. Has the deeper answer come to me yet? No. But like I said, I'm now in this curiosity phase of wanting to understand. So I'll fill you in when I know. So from 14, and I'm pretty sure I worked that job for a couple of years, and then I went on to work at other high street stores, well known household. I don't really need to name them, but I had maybe two, 3 or 4 more jobs between the ages of 14 to 18. I think I stayed at the first job a couple of years and then moved on to the other 2 or 3 afterwards. And then I left home when I was 18 years old. That's another conversation. So my survival mode started when I was 14 years old. One question that springs to my mind is been have I consistently been in survival mode since the age of 14, or has it been on and off? I hope to God it's been on and off. But because if it has been the whole time, then I mean either way, it would explain why I'm tired. Um, but yeah, it's a bit of a shocker to me, that answer. Like clear as day. And in that itself is another conversation for another day. Like, why is it when you are pondering and asking these kind of questions, sometimes it feels like heaven sends you an answer straight away, and there are other times there's crickets and you're waiting for an answer and you don't get an answer? Is that just me? No? Okay. But anyway, I'm sitting in this information. I'm sitting in this answer of your survival. My survival mode started when I was 14 years old. Yeah, I think it's safe to say that it's been on and off. But when it's on, it's fully engaged. Um, and why I find it hard to rest. I think I mentioned before that I find resting and trusting two very challenging things, and it's two of the things that God wants from me. I don't know what it's like I said, to hand something over and trust that someone will sort it out for me. Um, so because I'm always fending for myself, who's got time to rest? But it's the two areas that I struggle with, and it's the two of probably many areas God's like, I need you to trust me, and I need you to rest. I need you to trust me, and I need you to rest. Rest in the fact that you can trust me. Like, how many ways can we use those two words? Answers below. Um, yeah, it's been hard. It's been hard. I mean, thinking back to when I was 14 and getting my first job and saving up to buy my first pair of name brand trainers, I absolutely loved those trainers. They were LA Gear. They were white with green and like a cerise yellow, like a lime green and yellow detailing and matching laces. Man alive, did I love those trainers! What? I felt such a sense of pride and accomplishment when I bought those trainers. I felt the bee's knees when I wore those trainers. Like, any opportunity I got to wear those trainers, which was probably every other day, I wore those trainers. And I remember the utter heartbreak I felt when they were stolen off the washing line in the back garden. Yeah, that was heartbreaking. But and I've been doing for myself ever since, because like I said in passing, I left home when I was 18 years old. So rest feels like a luxury. You know, you hear no one's coming to save you. You've got to figure stuff out and get your shit together. You know, you got to be a boss babe, an independent woman, because no one's coming to save you. So when you're hearing these constant messages, of course you're going to hustle, of course you're going to be busy. And if you're resting, then you're not working. And if you're not working, then you're not problem solving, or you're not preparing for the future. You're not future proofing yourself. Like all those things. It's like a constant battle back and forth. It almost feels like one thing contradicts the other thing. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. Comment below if you can relate. This whole season has this whole season has been a struggle. Understatement of the century. My curiosity leads me to wonder, has the struggle been because God has wanted me to rest? Because I have been in, if my survival mode started when I was 14, I left home at 18, been fending for myself ever since then, could one then conclude that this season God's like, Mon, rest. Just rest. Trust me and rest. And I'm like, no. Gotta do this. Gotta do that. Gotta figure this out. Gotta sort this out. Gotta make that money, honey. And it's just been such a fight. Here we are at that word again. So if I'm always in fight mode, rest feels foreign. And if I'm always in fight mode, and like I said, a low grade fight is still fight, when life and pops up in your face and you really got to fight, are you fighting with a full tank? My daughter said something to me the other day. My youngest daughter, the one who always says that rest is a human requirement, not a reward. She said that she saw something on the internet about people shouldn't talk about pouring from an empty cup. They should actually really think of it as trying to pour, what did she say? Trying to boil an empty kettle. And if there's nothing in the kettle, when you switch it on to boil, you're essentially going to burn out the element. And then other issues then ensue. And I had to agree with her. For a long time, I've been saying that I feel like I have been running on fumes. There is like nothing left in the cup, nothing left. And I'm so past empty that it is just like fumes. Like whatever you can scrape off the sides, good luck. Anyone else out there feeling this way? Anyone else just coming through a stressful period and now entering rest? Anyone else fighting something at the moment? Anyone else battling with life? Let me know in the comments. The body it's an intelligent thing, isn't it? It knows when to kick in flight mode when things feel unsafe, and it knows when to tell you to siéntate, sit down. I hit a threshold. I think I had clearly hit a threshold. And I don't know why rest for me felt like giving up when it was just me being in fight mode for too long. If you are experiencing any of this, you're not alone. Rest isn't surrender, it's a return to self. And all I can say is please pay attention to your own body's shift and be gentle with yourself in the process. Now, I'm very good at giving the advice because I have said the very same things to my own children and friends around me, to be gentle with themselves and self-care and looking after the mind, body, and the spirit. But I don't give myself that same grace. I don't allow myself that same grace. And I'm the first to put my hand up for that. But yeah, if you're out there and you're quietly going through the same thing, know that you're not alone. And God does have an opinion about us being in survival mode. Here are some scriptures which I looked into, and I will give them to you and just summarize them, but you can go and read for yourself. And maybe you might have other scriptures. If you do, please share them. Share them in the comments. But these are the ones that I have so far, anyway. Matthew 6, verse 34. Appreciate today because tomorrow isn't promised. Matthew 25, verse 33. Be a good steward and work what's currently in your hands. Matthew 6, verse 33. Seek God first about your needs. Survival mode means you are always worrying about tomorrow and the future. Proverbs 3, verse 9 to 10. Give your first fruits and give generally. Mark 11, verse 24. Work from a place of completion. Believe God has already said yes and work back from there, knowing that your future self already exists, that God has already said yes to whatever you have prayed about. Deuteronomy 28, verse 12. Be obedient. Proverbs 18, verse 21. Speak life over yourself and any situation. Ecclesiastes 5, verse 18. Enjoy your blessings. And last but not least, Matthew 11, verses 28 to 30. Rest in the timing of God. Rest your nervous system. Take self-care days and mindset reset days. That one really stuck out to me because obviously it says rest, which has been, I suppose, the main topic about this episode. Learning to rest and understanding rest after being in survival mode. Thank you for joining me today. I hope this episode helps someone in any way. I hope by me sharing my journey, it's like reading my journal out loud to the world, to passers-by, whoever wants to listen. It's very vulnerable, it's weird, but it's honest. And like I said, it's about things I'm going through, gone through, and grown through. A digital journal. And this is just another entry. Thank you for joining me for this episode of Conversations in the Chair. I'm your host, Money, and I will catch you again on the next one. Peace and love, and take care of you.